This is Nightline and I'm Muhammed Hamdan. News making the headlines. UMNO confirms GE15 must be held this year. And Prime Minister orders criminal investigation against former AG Tommy Thomas. Good morning. Prime Minister Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob has instructed the Special Task Force to further investigate the possibility of wrongdoings by former Attorney General Tan Sri Tommy Thomas after they presented their recommendations to the Cabinet on Friday. Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri said the investigation is to be conducted under the Penal Code, Sedition Act, the Official Secrets Act and Malaysian Anti-Corruption Act. In a statement on Friday, he said the Special Task Force presented the final report, which took 9 months to complete, to the Cabinet on Friday. He said that the team divided the 19 key issues into 4 categories: allegations against the judiciary, disclosure of government information and secrets, illegitimate action, abuse of power, professional negligence and seditious statements. He added that the Special Task Force also presented several recommendations to the government for the next course of action. In his memoir, Tan Sri Tommy Thomas had written on the appointment of judges, excessive interference by the executive in the judiciary, and selective prosecution. Malaysia will take legal action in the Netherlands to resist and set aside any attempt by the heirs of the late Sulu Sultan in their bid to enforce a $15 billion arbitration award against the country. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Dr. Sri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, said Malaysia will not tolerate those who cynically seek to manipulate and abuse the system for personal gain or profit. He said this while drawing on reports that the purported heirs to the long-defunct Sulu Sultanate have now sought recognition and enforcement of a questionable impugned award in the Dutch courts against Malaysia's assets in the Netherlands. He, however, stressed that Petronas's assets are not assets belonging to the government of Malaysia, and it would be an abuse of the process of any court to seek enforcement against such assets. Thus, he said the latest attempt is nothing more than yet another opportunistic act, perpetrated in breach and contravention of international arbitration rules and norms under the New York Convention and the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. He added that Malaysia has instituted legal proceedings in Luxembourg and will take similar steps in the Netherlands to resist and set aside any attempt by the purported Sulu heirs to enforce or obtain a benefit from the impugned award. At the same time, the government has also taken court proceedings in France and Spain to set aside and render the February award null, and it is confident that these proceedings will be resolved in Malaysia's favour. Moving on, the Health Ministry will prepare a new Cabinet Memorandum relating to the application to abolish Section 309 of the Penal Code to decriminalise suicide attempts as proposed by the Attorney General's Chambers AGC. Its Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said the Ministry has received a report of the study conducted by the AGC regarding decriminalisation of suicide attempts. It said the results of the study will be discussed with stakeholders, including the Home Ministry, the Police, the Malaysian Armed Forces and the AGC, before being presented at the Cabinet meeting. The previous memorandum was an effort to decriminalise suicide attempts and to abolish or amend Section 309 of the Penal Code that lists these acts as criminal offences. According to the Health Minister, those found attempting suicide can be jailed up to a year or fined or both. He said the amendments to the Act would depend on the decision of the Cabinet when he tables the matter for discussion. Effective January 1st next year, about 99% of Turkish exports to Malaysia will enjoy duty-free treatment, while almost 86% of Malaysia's exports to Turkey will enjoy a similar advantage under the Malaysia-Turkey Free Trade Agreement (MTFTA). The decision was made during the inaugural Joint Economic and Trade Council JETC meeting in Ankara on Thursday, which was co-chaired by Senior International Trade and Industry Minister Dr. Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali and his Turkey counterpart Dr. Mehmet Mush. The meeting was held to amend the Free Trade Agreement to broaden the existing MTFTA. Other benefits include enhanced cross-flows of investments and improved mobility for professionals between both countries. Dr. Sri Azmin has also proposed to formally establish a bilateral task force for semiconductor supply chain resilience.
Good day, Dato.
Hello, Kevin.
I understand you're going all out to attract investments into Selangor.
Yes, with several focus areas.
Can you tell us more about it?
Sure, but not now. Join me on Martin Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3.
The 15th general election should be held this year. This is UMNO's stand. The party's Secretary-General, Datuk Sri Ahmad Maslan, said the party's Supreme Council, which met on Friday evening, had agreed that Parliament should be dissolved by this year.
Pembubaran Parlimen hendaklah diadakan dalam masa terdekat bagi membolehkan pilihan raya umum ke-15 diadakan pada tahun ini juga. Berdasarkan keputusan ini, Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri akan mempersembahkan cadangan tarikh pembubaran kepada Kebawah Duli Yang Maha Mulia Seri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong selaras dengan perkara 40 dalam kurungan 1 Perlembagaan Persekutuan. Kedua, keputusan mesyuarat ini adalah berasaskan pendirian konsisten UMNO sejak dari awal untuk memulangkan mandat rakyat yang tertangguh akibat pandemik COVID-19 setelah runtuhnya Kerajaan Pakatan Harapan kerana persengketaan dalaman politik sesama mereka. Ketiga, sehubungan itu semua jentera parti di setiap peringkat adalah diarahkan untuk memuktamadkan segala persiapan yang telah dibuat sebelum ini bagi memasuki fasa pembubaran sehinggalah kepada tarikh pilihan raya umum ke-15. Keempat, UMNO percaya hanya dengan mengembalikan hak rakyat bagi membolehkan mandat sebenar diperolehi, maka sebuah kerajaan yang stabil dapat dibentuk bagi memulihkan negara khususnya dalam aspek ekonomi yang berkait rapat dengan soal kesejahteraan hidup rakyat di samping beberapa usaha pembaharuan institusi ke arah mewujudkan tadbir urus yang lebih baik buat negara.
The current Parliament's term runs until July 2023 and a general election must be held by mid-September at the latest. Bukit Aman has confirmed that 110 Malaysians have so far been rescued from overseas job scam syndicate. Secretary of the Police, Datuk Nursia Muhammad Saaduddin, said that the victims were subsequently brought back to Malaysia. Datuk Nursia said that police received 224 reports from family and friends pertaining to Malaysians being duped by job offers overseas. From the reports received, police found 284 victims, where 174 are still stuck abroad, while 110 had been rescued and brought back to Malaysia. Police said it would continue to utilize all platforms to cooperate with various agencies, particularly ASEANapol and Interpol, to address the matter. Police are also part of the special committee headed by the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Datuk Nursia advised the public to be wary when receiving job offers abroad through social media. The public is advised to check the legitimacy of the offers received with the Foreign Affairs Ministry before accepting these offers. A cosmetic product sales agent who was kidnapped at her house in Tumpat, Kelantan on September 13th before being taken to Thailand is reported to be fine. Kelantan Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Zaki Harun said the victim, Rosna Zirah Muhammad Naim, was now in Kuala Lumpur and would be brought back to Kelantan soon. He thanked the Criminal Investigation Department for working hard to resolve the case. On Thursday, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani in a statement said the victim was rescued with the assistance and sharing of information between the Royal Malaysia Police and the Royal Thai Police. According to him, the police have detained 7 local men in Kelantan, Selangor and Kuala Lumpur to facilitate investigations into the case. In the September 13th incident, the woman was kidnapped by several men from her home in Kampung Semat Jal Tumpat at about 5:10 p.m. The victim was suspected to have been smuggled out of the country through an illegal jetty in Kuala Jambu Tumpat after a car believed to be used in the incident was found abandoned there. In another kidnapping incident, a businessman sustained minor injuries after being abducted from a restaurant in Ampang Jaya on Thursday, believed to be over debt issues. Ampang Jaya District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Farouk Ishaq said police received a report on the abduction at about 5 p.m. on Thursday from the 38-year-old victim after he was released by his abductors. In the incident, it was reported that the businessman had gone to a restaurant alone, and shortly after that, several men showed up at the scene and forced him into a Toyota Valfire. The victim shouted for help and struggled to escape, but to no avail. Several motorists were also seen in the video that went viral, giving chase, with a number of motorcyclists also trying to stop the car but failing. The victim later showed up at the police station at about 10:45 p.m. on the same day to lodge a police report claiming he had been freed by the kidnappers in Klang about 5 hours after the incident. The victim, who sustained injuries to his legs and face, then sought treatment at the Ampang hospital. Police are still tracking down the suspects, and the case is being investigated under Section 365 of the Penal Code for kidnapping. After this breather, suicide bombing in Afghanistan leaves 23 dead. Details when we return. Onto the foreign front, Thailand's Constitutional Court on Friday ruled Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha had not exceeded the maximum 8 years allowed in office, clearing the way for his return from a 5-week suspension. The court, in a 25-minute reading of the verdict on Friday, said Prayut's tenure as Prime Minister should be counted from 2017, when a new constitution was promulgated. The decision will be a boost for Prayut, a staunch royalist whose premiership has been beset by attempts to unseat him, including 4 House censure motions, a conflict of interest case, and major protests challenging his leadership and the monarchy. A spokesperson for Prayut, in the meantime, said he respected the ruling and thanked his supporters. The former army chief, who came to power in a 2014 military coup, was suspended last month, while the court examined a legal challenge mounted by opposition parties who argued he had reached his term limit in power. A suicide bomb attack on a school hall packed with hundreds of students preparing for exams in the Afghan capital on Friday killed at least 19 people while wounding 27 others as the blast ripped through the Kaj Higher Educational Centre, which teaches mainly young adults ahead of university entrance exams. Most of the casualties were said to be young women. It was reported that attackers first shot and killed security guards at the entrance gate and then opened fire, wounding 2 people before the suicide bomber detonated an explosives vest inside the hall where at least 600 students were gathered. So far, there was no immediate claim of responsibility for the blast, but authorities said the bombing happened in the Dash-e-Baji neighborhood of western Kabul, the target of some of Afghanistan's most deadly attacks. Over in the United States, at least 12 people are believed to have been killed by Hurricane Ian amid warnings that the death toll will continue to rise as emergency services reach new areas and the storm barrels inland. Authorities said the majority of the victims are thought to have died in Charlotte County, an area near the stretch of southwest coast where Ian made landfall on Wednesday. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis warned that water levels were likely to keep rising, with U.S. President Joe Biden has formally issued a disaster declaration, saying Ian could end up being the deadliest hurricane in Florida's history. The hurricane is also forecast to bring a storm surge of 5 feet into coastal areas of Georgia and the Carolinas, with rainfall of up to 8 inches is expected up the east coast. In the meantime, National Guard troops have been positioned in South Carolina to help with the aftermath, including water rescues. sports, futsal, Vietnam took a huge step towards the AFC Futsal Asian Cup knockout stage after defeating Saudi Arabia 3-1 in their Group D tie on Friday. The win took Vietnam to 6 points, and the Southeast Asians are well placed to secure a spot in the quarterfinals, while Saudi Arabia have it all to do the following defeat. Vietnam will face Japan next on Sunday, while Saudi Arabia take on South Korea. Earlier, Japan picked up its first win with a 6-0 whitewash of South Korea in Kuwait City, Kuwait. The win levels Ja'an's Group D record at 1 win and 1 loss after its opening setback against Saudi Arabia, while South Korea lose for the second straight time and were eliminated from advancing to the knockout round. And on to tennis, the Korea Open top seed Casper Ruud suffered a shock loss in the quarterfinals of the lone ATP Tour tournament in South Korea on Friday, falling to the unseeded Japanese player Yoshihito Nishioka in 3 sets. Nishioka, world number 56, defeated the second-ranked Ruud 6-2, 3-6, 6-2 to reach the semi-finals. Nishioka looked in control throughout the 1 hour 57-minute clash as he out-hit the Norwegian with his variety, striking 32 winners and committing just 14 unforced errors to earn the biggest win of his season. The 26-year-old from Japan is 2 victories away from his second career ATP title. He had earlier downed Daniel Evans and Taro Daniel in straight sets, while the Norwegian Ruud had recently featured in the finals of the US Open, where he finished as a runner-up to Carlos Alcaraz. Nishioka will next play Alexander Kovacevic of the United States in the semi-finals. Earlier, Kovacevic eliminated fellow American Mackenzie McDonald with a 4-6, 6-3, 6-2 victory in their quarter-final match. Kovacevic previously beat Serb Miomir Kecmanovic and Chun Sin Seng ahead of his victory. Ranked number 222, he had never even played an ATP Tour match before this week. After this breather, unidentified body found floating in Langkawi waters. Don't go away. Welcome back. In Kedah, the body of an unidentified man was found floating in the waters off Pulau Pasir Langkawi on Friday noon. Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA Kedah Police Director Romli Mustafa said the agency's Langkawi Maritime Rescue Subcentre received information about the discovery of a body at about 11:45 a.m. He said the body was spotted by a passenger boat that was on a cruise near the mangrove in the area. The agency then dispatched a patrol boat near the location to retrieve the body about half nautical mile from the east of Tanjung Kemarung. The victim's body was taken to MMEA Bukit Malut Jetty and handed to the police for further action. In Perak, a 39-year-old man has been arrested after he was caught with handmade rifles and a fake pistol in Sitiawan. Perak Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said the man, who worked as a blacksmith, was caught at a house at Taman Mewah Jaya, Sitiawan at about 12:30 a.m. on September 26.
Hasil pemeriksaan di dalam rumah tersebut telah menjumpai 3 laras senapan angin, 1 pucuk pistol tiruan, 1 balang gas yang diubah suai, 1 pasang gari bersama sarung gari, 2 anak kunci gari dan 1 bungkusan plastik lusina mengandungi bahan disaki dadah jenis methamphetamine, anggaran berat 6 gram dan nilai keseluruhan dadah yang dirampas berjumlah RM350.
He added that based on initial investigations, the suspect told police about his interest in making weapons. The suspect further said that he learned to assemble the rifles within a month and learned how to do so by watching online video tutorials. He tested positive for drugs and also had a prior record involving drug abuse. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act and the Firearms Act. Over in Selangor, the former president of the Kuala Langat District Council, MDKL, pleaded not guilty in the Shah Alam Sessions Court to 4 counts of accepting bribes totaling 100,000 ringgit. Dr. Muhammad Azhar Muhammad Ali, aged 48, made the plea after the charges were read out to him before Judge Rosila Saleh. According to the charge sheet, Muhammad Azhar, as the president of MDKL, now known as the Kuala Langat Municipal Council, had received cash totaling 100,000 ringgit without consideration from a man he knew had a connection with his official function. The charges were framed under Section 165 of the Penal Code, which carries an imprisonment of up to 2 years or a fine or both upon conviction. The judge set bail at 50,000 ringgit with 1 surety and ordered the accused to surrender his passport to the court and report to the Putrajaya MACC office at the beginning of every month. The accused paid the fine, and the court then fixed October 26 for document submissions and mention. Now, while EU governments mull over introducing a cap on gas prices, some businesses are more in a hurry for solutions to the energy crisis. In Brussels, the epicenter of the EU, a group of restaurant owners have imagined how a future without gas and electricity would look like for gourmets. The guests at the dinner served at the Brasserie Cerealista and cooked by Racine employees this week were the first to experience it. No ovens, no stoves, no hot plates, no coffee machines and no light bulbs. Let's take a look at the dimly lit restaurant as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Muhammed, Ahmad Hamdan. Thank you for watching and stay safe.